Hi. Hola.
Hi, here's Mr. Dozy.
This is Michael Bradley.
Hey, I'm Memphis.
Hey.
Hola. Hello.
I'm here with soccer.com.
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 And I'm talking with my friends soccer.com.
See you soon.
Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com bringing you my playtest review video of the Nike Mercurial Superfly 5. Now in this video you guys are of course going to get to see me kind of play around in the shoes themselves, and then I'm going to share my experiences and opinions on every single aspect of the Superfly 5. So if you're interested in learning more on the overall performance, stick around and watch the entire video, and with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's talk about the comfort and fit of the Superfly 5, because coming from the previous model, this is for me one of the most noticeable changes that they've made to the shoe. Now obviously the same basic formula is still here with the Superfly 5. It's got a Flyknit construction for the upper, Brio cables / flywire as your support system within the actual laces. It does have some internal structure in the liner itself, although a lot less than what we got in the Superfly 4. And then of course it still has the dynamic fit collar and the general mid-cut aspect of the shoe. Now in terms of fit, it's still a tighter fitting shoe as you would expect from the Mercurial line. If you fit in the Superfly 4, you're very, very likely to fit in the Superfly 5. Because like I said, they haven't completely changed the fit, they just tweaked it a little bit. But I definitely think for the better. The main difference that you're going to notice in the fit, especially coming from a Superfly 4, is that they lowered the volume a little bit in the toe box area and forefoot, so it does fit ever so slightly more snug. Not to the point where it's more narrow, but it just eliminates a lot of that little bit of dead space that you would normally have. So for me, it just has a slightly more secure, slightly tighter fit on your foot that did not feel uncomfortable at all. And the midfoot, they did basically the same thing. They kind of took away material or changed the shape ever so slightly to where, again, you just have a little bit less dead space on the inside of the shoe, giving you kind of a more true one-to-one kind of sock-like wrap around your foot. Also, because there is less internal structure due to the more structured Flyknit upper, the shoe does feel a little bit more natural. It's more flexible out of the box, and the upper is just very comfortable against your foot in general. The sole plate also plays a part in terms of how this shoe fits. Obviously, it's not made from carbon fiber anymore, something we will talk about a little bit later in the video. But what's most interesting about this sole plate is the fact that it's not completely flat. It has some shape to it, kind of moving and forming to the actual shape of the bottom of, not necessarily your foot exactly, but the general shape of a foot. And I know a lot of people have their concerns in regards to whether or not their foot will match up with the shape of this sole plate, because that would sound like something that you might want to be concerned about. But in all honesty, the amount of shape to the bottom of this sole plate is very, very minimal. When you put them on for the first time, you will notice that yes, it's not completely flat. It does feel a little bit different in comparison to a standard shoe, or obviously a Superfly 4 if you want to compare it directly to that shoe. But honestly, after 5-10 minutes of wearing them around, it's something that you stop noticing altogether. But what it does do in terms of an actual benefit is that it helps to keep your foot locked in place and secure on the bottom of the sole plate. Because it isn't completely flat, your foot is just less able to slide around on the base of the sole, which is definitely a positive thing, especially when you're talking about a shoe that fits as well and as tight as the Superfly 5 does. Laces still run through the middle, so you're able to get that nice secure fit. It really does pull on those Flywire cables, keeping your foot locked in place quite nicely. And then of course, in terms of actual comfort and break-in, that is one of the aspects that a lot of people struggled with when it came to the Superfly 4, and they've definitely improved that on the Superfly 5. It's still a mid-cut shoe, so it does have that little bit of kind of quirkiness in terms of when you put them on for the first time and just feeling different from a standard low-cut shoe, but the actual construction in the heel area is a little bit different. There is about twice as much padding on the inside heel liner, which is still a smooth synthetic leather, and it's just softer in this area of the shoe altogether. It has an internal plastic heel counter still, so it doesn't feel like it's flimsy or anything like that, but it's a lot more comfortable. For me, the fit is just more open. On a Superfly 4, an Obra, even a Phantom 2, you'll find that the back of the heel area tends to feel pretty stiff when you put them on for the first time, and it almost feels like it curves into the back of your Achilles kind of heel area. With this shoe, it feels like it's more straight up, so you don't really have that same issue with rubbing at the back of the collar or at the back of the heel. At least I didn't have that issue, even from right out of the box. It just felt more comfortable, more natural, and the break-in process should be a little bit less with the Superfly 5 in comparison to previous mid-cut models from Nike. With that said, you should still take your time with them. I wouldn't recommend wearing them straight into a game or straight into a free kick session. Take your time, break them in slowly, and you should be able to get used to these things without having any issues with discomfort and blistering. The break-in process, though, like I said, is pretty straightforward. Aside from getting used to how the heel feels, I really didn't experience any other discomfort. No stud pressure from the sole plate. The upper is quite flexible. It fits really nicely. And again, really didn't have any issues as far as discomfort is concerned. In terms of the width of the shoe, it's a Mercurial. It's going to offer a tighter fit. If you fit in the Superfly 4, you're still going to fit in the Superfly 5. They've just made some minor tweaks in terms of how it fits, which I think are for the better. But the shoe isn't really going to stretch, and because of its more kind of, I guess, tighter profile, if you have really wide feet, probably not the best option for you. But with that said, as long as you don't mind a tighter fit, they should be suitable for most people. And as far as sizing is concerned, I wore my usual size 9 US, the same size that I've been wearing in Mercurials for years, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. As far as touch and feel is concerned, the difference between the Superfly 4 and the Superfly 5 honestly is pretty minimal. It's just a very little difference, and that's really the best way to put it. With the Superfly 4, you got a thinner Flyknit construction to the upper, but more internal synthetic pieces lining the inside of the shoe. So yes, the Flyknit was very thin, but there was more structure on the inside that kind of took away from the sock-like sensation. It still offered that sock-like feel, especially once broken in, but in comparison to the Superfly 5, they essentially did the opposite. There's more Flyknit in terms of the construction of the upper and less lining material on the inside. So it does feel a little bit more sock-like. It feels a little bit more natural, a little bit more flexible, especially from right out of the box. And that is, in my opinion, an improvement in regards to just the general experience of wearing the shoe. When it comes to actual touch, because there is a slightly more dense and slightly kind of thicker layer of Flyknit material, the touch is obviously going to be a little bit thicker than what you got on the Superfly 4, but still quite thin. This shoe features their Speed Rib 3D texturing system, where, as you guys can see with this particular colorway with the black stripes, they're horizontal lines where the variation in thickness goes from 1 millimeter to 2.5 millimeters all the way down the shoe. So when you get up close, and you guys will see the little clip that I'll post on screen, there is a visible texturing to the surface of the upper. It's very, very noticeable when you run your hand along the side of the upper. But honestly, when you actually have the shoe on your foot and you make contact with the ball, much like the Magista Obra that has a similar amount of texturing, you just don't notice it. It's there. They tout it as kind of a performance feature, but like I said, in terms of how it actually feels when you're wearing the shoe, it's not something that you notice at all. If you're comparing it to the Superfly 4, like I said, this is ever so slightly thicker, just a little bit, but still offers that nice thin kind of sock-like sensation that a lot of people really liked from the Superfly 4 in the first place. So the same basic formula applies. You still have the Nike skin covering that has, like I said, the same texturing as the Superfly 4 and Obra. Not really a lot of added grip on the ball. It's pretty slick. And then, of course, you do have your ACC All Conditions Control feature, which you'll find on all the top-end models from Nike. Not really a make-or-break feature with any of their top-end shoes, but it is something that they do include. So take that for what it is, I suppose. But again, the difference between the Superfly 4 and the Superfly 5, very, very minimal when it comes to touch. If you're looking for something that has a nice thin touch on the ball, a very consistent touch, because these Flyknit uppers don't have any overlapping materials, the Superfly 5 definitely will have what you are looking for. In terms of weight, the Superfly 5 is very light. In a size 9 US, the shoe weighs in at 6.7 ounces, which is about a half ounce less than the Superfly 4 in the same size. So how did they shave half an ounce of weight from the shoe? Obviously, the upper does have a little bit more structure to it in terms of the Flyknit construction, but they did remove the carbon fiber sole plate and replaced it with this new plastic one that uses a very unique manufacturing process where it's only one single layer as opposed to multiple layers like you would normally find with the average sole plate. So this is supposed to be 40% lighter than the carbon fiber sole plate found on the Superfly 4, which is why you have the half ounce of weight savings, which honestly isn't a lot, but considering the Superfly 4 was already pretty light, to shave half an ounce off that shoe with the Superfly 5 is actually pretty impressive. In terms of the weight difference on feet, it's not super noticeable. The Superfly 5 I just think is a more comfortable shoe. It fits that much better than the Superfly 4 as well, and it will offer the more lightweight experience if you're comparing the two. And in general, if you're looking for a lightweight feel from your shoes, you're definitely going to get that from the Superfly 5. When it comes to traction, the Mercurial line has always been one of your best options, but with the Superfly 5 and really the upcoming Mercurial line that's all gonna have this new stud pattern, they've really upped the game one more time, because this is, for me, the most aggressive firm ground stud pattern that you can get at the moment, at least in terms of what I've tried, and that's just about everything. So this particular redesign, as you guys can see, is pretty unique in terms of its overall layout. The studs themselves, being that this is a firm ground stud pattern, are slightly longer than what you found on the Superfly 4. The studs, as you guys can see as well, are all the exact same size and all the exact same shape. The difference is where they're positioned and how they're angled. The emphasis with this particular design was mainly around braking and accelerating. So those first three steps, having as much grip as possible, and then when you are at full speed, being able to slow down as quickly as possible. So those heel studs, as you guys can see, are more horizontally positioned in terms of giving you that bite when planting to shoot the ball or when you're slowing down from a sprint, while in the forefoot, they're angled in a way so you can push off and dig into the ground almost like teeth, with this kind of V shape to them. They're very close to the tip of the toe. It fills in more dead space than what we got on the previous Mercurial line. So that not only gives you more coverage in terms of how many studs you have under your feet, depending on how your foot is positioned, it also makes for a more stable feel in terms of just running in the shoes in general. This is the first stud pattern that they actually designed using an actual kind of simulation software where they ran tests through a computer, which basically told them what the best layout would be, and then from there they would make an actual shoe, give it to their professional athletes to test out, and then they eventually came to this final design. And I have to say, I'm really impressed with the amount of bite that this stud pattern provides. No issues with slippage whatsoever. Pushing off in any direction, you get tons and tons of grip. This particular sole plate is nice and flexible, so it's able to bend with your foot. So no matter which way you twist or turn, you have as many studs under your feet as possible. Like I said, for being as aggressive as it is and having fairly long firm ground studs, stability is not an issue whatsoever. And also the upper, because it fits so well and you have the Brio cable support system, the responsiveness of this shoe is top notch, just as good if not better than what we got from the Superfly 4. So in terms of just general acceleration and changing direction, the Superfly 4 is an absolute pleasure to wear. It just feels very connected. You truly do get that one-to-one sensation where the second you react, the second the shoe reacts, and it just has all the grip that you could want. If you slip, I really don't feel like there is a better option out there, or there could have been a better shoe on your foot. Because like I said, when it comes to traction, the Superfly 5, in my opinion, if you just want all-out grip, nothing else beats it right now. It really is that good. Alright guys, that is it for my playtest review of the Nike Mercurial Superfly 5. As soon as these things are available on June 2nd, I will have buy it now links on the review page of my website, along with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick them up below the retail price, which is yet to be announced. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, that'll take you to the review page. All the info will be there as soon as these things are available. And if you just want more details in general on the Superfly 5, I'll leave an annotation on screen to my initial review video where I go over all of the tech specs in great detail. So check that out if you haven't seen it already. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. If you have any questions at all regarding the Superfly 5, leave them down below in the comment section and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you aren't subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.